men always searched that further knowledge, throughout their lives. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm trying to do it. But like I've had over 1,000 guests on the show. Like 90% are men, and most of them have an alpha character to it. Now, alpha is expressed in different ways. It doesn't mean they yell a lot and scream a lot. It just means they're good at what they do, which of course, that's probably who I would have on this show to talk. They probably have something to say. If you have something to say, you probably lived something, created some IP, et cetera. But there's definitely that. It's interesting because in my 20s in New York City, I was basically, trying to kill myself. And I almost did. I mean, I had 2 overdoses when I was 30 in 2001. And, I almost died. And so that was this period that you're kind of describing where I was just pushing the envelope, seeing how far I could push it. The question is if I was in the army or if I was in some other structure, would I have not done that? Perhaps. If I was a father, would I have not done that? Perhaps. Not necessarily a given. What was that structure 100 years ago or 200 years ago? Was it the military? Was it a little bit more of a fixed way of going throughout life, like a steady career path? These are good questions. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is that I'll just come back to initiation. I think the structure is important, but part of it is that we did have initiation processes or that we were taking people through, and so when a young boy came of age, the elders in the community in the village, the older men who had been through initiation would take him out of the home into the wilderness and take him through some type of initiation ritual or experience. And there's a great quote by a Franciscan monk named Richard Rohr, he's got some wonderful writings about this, who says, unless a man experiences or goes on a journey of powerlessness, he will always abuse power. And so part of the initiation process that we're supposed to go through as young men, so that we don't fall into this very immature and sort of youthful mindset of becoming almost omnipotent. Like when you're a young man, I was the same thing. I bought a 1,000cc motorcycle when I was 18. I saved up cash in a Ziploc bag underneath my mattress, and just squirreled it away, and then bought a 1,000cc motorcycle because I thought I was kind of invincible. And I wanted to test myself and push myself, and I was reckless. Drinking as much as I humanly could, having like competitive, beer pong events, which I think a lot of guys fall into. But unless we go through these types of initiatory experiences where we are put intentionally in a powerless position, we don't know what to do with the power that we have as men. And we do have a lot of power intellectually, physically. When you're a young man, you are quite robust and potent. And so without those initiatory experiences, what I've noticed is that men will create their own pseudo or false initiations. And these pseudo and false initiations are what you're describing. It's bottoming out. It's building our lives up and then absolutely destroying it. I did the exact same thing. Great career, traveling the world, wonderful, girlfriend, had the toys, the motorcycle, the Mustang, which at the time was like the thing that I like really wanted as a young man. Interesting career, and then I blew it all up. And a part of that was that I didn't have any initiation into manhood, and so psychologically there was a part of me that felt like I needed to test, who am I? How bad can shit get and I can recover from it? Can I enter into the territory of real challenge, like a battlefield in an arena, and can I emerge on the other side victorious? And so there's something within the masculine psyche that craves these types of challenges. And when we don't provide them for young men, what happens is that they seek them sometimes in maladaptive ways through drugs, gangs, street racing like I did, fighting at bars like I did, like all these types of things where we then look for something to push up against and try and figure out our relationship to our own power.
Yeah, I've often thought about my 20s, and now that I'm a little wiser and I've done a lot more introspection and, some ayahuasca ceremonies, which can help as well to really get you to see things you wouldn't normally see. I'd be a fool to not say that I sabotaged myself through my 20s. I mean, what was I doing? I mean, here I was, I had the MIT degree, I had the Wall Street job, and I could have just crushed it. But what I was doing was drinking myself to death and then drugging myself to death to where I just screwed it all up. And like one of my buddies from MIT, he didn't screw it up. He like crushed it and did all the right things, or at least he didn't do the wrong things. And I look at him today and I'm like, okay, now to be honest, Connor, I wouldn't have changed anything, honestly. And so that worked well for him. Now that in retrospect, I can see that. But I'd be lying to myself if I didn't think I sabotaged myself, which I would have never, ever believed I could do that. Because for me, it was like, I go to MIT. If I get good grades, I'll get a job on Wall Street. Of course I'm going to get grades. I would never screw that up. I would never think consciously I could screw that up. And then I get to Wall Street. Of course I want to do as well as I can so I can make MD and start making 7 figures and all these things. And of course I'm not trying to screw that up. But if I look back now, I surely was, because I was doing all these things that just didn't make any sense. So yeah.
But why do you think that you pursued that? Because I think what I hear in some ways is like this, almost like feverish. The word that came to mind was like this, like maniacal. I have to drive myself and push myself to these extremes. Like where do you think, from your own knowledge and being able to see your past and your upbringing, where did that ferociousness come from?
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside, I view, is unlimited.
And as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.